Well, I thought I'd make a short video. Um, I went to a gun show today, and I started thinking about, what makes something collectible. And, I go to a gun show, you see a lot of, newer stuff. Not, to me, it's not very appealing. Plastic, not even, it could be a bolt action, it could be a semi-automatic, but, a lot of the modern construction uses a lot of plastics and a lot of parkerization, and aesthetically, it's not always that great. Now, do I own guns like that? Yeah. Yeah, I have modern firearms, but and I saw um, my neighbor, he had a table at the gun show and he had a Model 8 Remington. And I've always been a fan of them. In fact, I have three. Actually, this is an 80 Model 81. I'll get into that in a second here. But so there's a lot of 94 Winchesters at this gun show. Post 64, nothing special. People asking $850, $900 for, a Post 64 94 Winchester. And it's like, okay, I get it. I mean, even with the problems they had with the Post 64s, it's still not made out of plastic. It's not parkerized. There's still a lot of craftsmanship that went into that stuff, but it's really collectible. And I have a couple 94 Winchesters that are pre 64, and they're great guns, and they're very collectible. And probably one of them I have is, worth at this point probably $1,300 and $1,400. But when I was there, the first thing I saw was my neighbor's table, and he had he had some real nice guns on the table, but he had this particular Model 8 here. And this one was made in 1929. I looked it up, the serial number up when I got home. So it's, just, right at the beginning of the Depression. And if you look at sales after 29, Remington wasn't turning out a whole lot of Model 8s or probably much of anything. I don't really know, but the Model 8s I know took a hit. And it's a Browning design rifle. It's the humpback, like what you see with the Browning Auto 5s and Remington Model 11s, and it's a Browning design. And I paid $550 for it, which I didn't think was a bad deal. It does have a few flaws with it, and someone put in an aftermarket sling and a sling swivel, which I think is pretty old. If I had to guess, that's probably, 50s, maybe earlier, maybe later. I really don't know how to date that sling swivel, but it caused a crack in the front portion of the stock there. But still, it's a pretty solid gun. And I'm not going to get into how these guns work because there's plenty of videos on how Model 8s work. I know Forgotten Weapons did an excellent video on it. There's other videos on that topic. And this one here, about a few years ago from my uncle, this one was made in 1919, so it's 10 years older. Also a Model 8. This one is in 35 Remington. The one I bought today, well, it's a 30-30. It's a 30-30 Remington, which is not what you typically think of when you hear 30-30. It's a rimless cartridge. It's basically a 30-30 Winchester without a rim. And ammo's pretty scarce for that. And I looked around today, and I emailed a few people, and it's pretty much unobtainable. Now, you can make it out of 30-30 Winchester brass, which I'll probably look into doing, because I actually have a die I can I can reload that. I just have to make up some, cartridges. This is a 35 Remington, which a lot more common of a cartridge, even though they're kind of scarce right now. And this is the first one I bought, probably about 1995. I think it was 95 or 96 I bought this. And I paid, $200 for it at the time. Maybe it was $225, something like that. So I've doubled what I've been willing to pay for one over the last 30 years, but I still think they're kind of a bargain gun. They did not make very many of these. They made less than 70,000 Model 8s. They made less than 60,000 maybe of the Model 81s. And there's just something really, there's a cool factor to them. It's got kind of like this pre-Kalashnikov type safety. I'm sure that's where Kalashnikov got the ideal for the safety on the AK-47. And I'm not sure if I mentioned, but this one's 300 Savage. And I've used this deer hunting. I've taken a few deer with it. It's a good rifle. I don't use it hunting anymore. They can be fragile when they get this old. And this one was made in 49, so we got 49, 1919, and 1929. So, these guns are, well, one's over 100 years old, but they're old. So my point in this was, I'm just kind of amazed that I go into shows and I'll see stuff like this occasionally. And it's like, in a way this seems underpriced when I'm looking at a table full of plastic shit. And, there's this, solid piece of blued metal and wood and John Browning's, written all over it. With so few of these having been produced, I'm amazed they're not a lot more of a collectible firearm. And as a matter of fact, I went to a gun show maybe 4 years ago and someone was bringing in a Model 81 and I talked to the guy and he wanted $400 for it. And I kind of like, I didn't buy it. And I regret not buying it because I think at some point, these are going to be a very valuable firearm. And I'm not even going to get into politics of gun control or whatever, but this does not seem like a type of semi-automatic that would be banned. Well, we'll put it this way. California probably lets you own this. So, I guess what I'm trying to say here, and maybe not in such a good way, is I don't understand the fucking marketplace. That, some stuff seems to be really expensive for reasons I can't fathom, and other stuff seems like a bargain. And maybe it's just, maybe there hasn't been enough of these firearms, and maybe they need to have a really good video game feature in one of these. Maybe some rapper has to, take a pose with one. I don't frickin' know. But it's a good solid rifle. And I just kind of shocked that they're not more popular. As a matter of fact, I think that Remington, when they sold these, they had some of the best ads with the Model 8s. I got a calendar here from, Christ, 96. But, there. Flashes in the way. But, they had kind of these ads featuring the Model 8, Model 81. This one's especially good. There's a giant Grizz coming at you, and there you go. There's the Model 8. I think it's also featuring a Remington knife, but, I guess that's my point. Is just for one thing, you gotta buy, you gotta collect what you like. I like books, and I like cats, and I like old guns, and this is what I dabble with. And but there's also a part of me. It's like look for something that's gonna be of value down the road. What is a good buy now that you might be passing up? And Lord knows I have passed up a lot of good stuff over the years that, I should have bought. I should have invested in. But anyway, I'm done rambling. The one problem, like most sporting rifles from this period, is that someone at some point brokered with them. I mean, this one's got a shot out recoil pad, and that needs to be replaced. And you know, original rear sight's missing, and this one's all here except someone added a scope at one point. I'm not sure how old the scope is. And this one was, threaded and tapped for a scope mount at one time. But anyway, look for bargains, collect what you enjoy, and remember to do your part to spade and neuter your pets. That's all for now.